best boxing content, don't forget to like, subscribe, and punch that bell for notifications.
Ladies and gentlemen, tonight promises to be a great night in boxing history. But at this time, we must pause to honor two members of the boxing fraternity who have passed away. Pat Putnam, a highly decorated Korean War hero, held for 17 months as a prisoner of war deep behind communist lines. He went on to become just as distinguished and admired as the finest boxing journalist of his era. George Horowitz, the man behind the greatest brand in boxing, Everlast. As president and CEO, he elevated the Everlast brand to a level of prominence without peer. To those who knew him, he was a gentleman of class, kindness, and charity, whose memory will be everlasting. Ladies and gentlemen, we ask you at this time to please remain silent as we toll a memorial count of 10 for two members of the boxing fraternity no longer with us, Pat Putnam and George Horowitz. We'll miss them both. Rest in peace. And now, ladies and gentlemen, from the Mandalay Bay Resort Casino of Las Vegas, DiBella Entertainment and Golden Boy Promotions present a World Championship contest sponsored by Rockstar Energy Drink. Party like a rock star. And IceLink Exquisite Timepieces. Sanctioned by the Nevada State Athletic Commission and the World Boxing Council, and presented in association with HBO Pay-Per-View. The three judges at ringside assigned to score this contest on the 10-point system will be Melvina Lathan, Peter Trematera, and Glenn Trowbridge, and inside the ring, the man in charge of the action, referee Tony Weeks. And now, ladies and gentlemen, from Mandalay Bay here in Las Vegas, Nevada, a battle of two champions, 12 rounds of boxing for the WBC Super Bantamweight Championship of the World. Introducing first, fighting out of the blue corner, wearing blue with silver official weight, 121 pounds. His professional record, 38 victories, including 28 knockouts, with only 3 defeats. De Ciudad de Mexico, the challenger. Title not on the line tonight for him. He's the reigning IBF Super Bantamweight World Champion Israel, El Magnifico Vazquez. And fighting out of the red corner, wearing red trimmed with white, official weight 120.5 pounds. His professional record, 56 victories, including 36 knockouts, with only 3 defeats and 1 draw. Damas y caballeros, de Gimnasio Julian Magdalena de Guadalajara, Mexico, the reigning defending WBC Super Bantamweight Champion of the World, Oscar Chololo Larios.
Okay. Caballeros, ustedes recibieron sus instrucciones. Mira, aquí está bien, aquí no. Mira, aquí está bien, aquí no. Dale su todo para arriba. Yo quiero una prelépea. Escúcheme, cuídate. ¿Listos? Vámonos.
Let's get it on. Is that what he was saying?
I think his Spanish is getting better.
Larios, a 3-1 favorite to win this fight. An opportunity to move upward and onward.
This should be a collision Freddie Roach, working in Vazquez's corner, says whoever takes control of the fight early is going to win it. Oscar Larios, talk about a throwback, Roy. He's had 60 fights at age 29. I wouldn't be at all surprised if he winds up in the Julio Cesar Chavez neighborhood with 90, maybe 100 fights in his career.
I wouldn't even, because it doesn't seem as though he's slowing down at all.
Fights the same way he did 4 years ago. There, Vazquez gets him with a left hook and a hard right hand, and Larios goes down.
And he was hit while he was down.
6, 7, 8. Venga para acá. Venga. ¿Está bien?
A fighter I know who did that got disqualified.
Quick.
Roy Jones, first defeat.
That was a different time and place. Now let's see if Vazquez can go ahead and take advantage of the early damage he's done. And now Larios lands a left hook that knocks Vazquez back and momentarily off balance.
Freddie Roach, the trainer, is convinced that Larios doesn't fight well moving backward, and that's why Vazquez is attacking the way he is.
Well, Jim, do you think Larios remembers that punch now?
Yeah, and I think that was Vazquez's intent, right? to put him right back into round 1 8 years ago.
Remind him early.
Seems to have recovered very nicely this time, as opposed to 8 years ago when he was 20 or 21.
Unless there's any question about whether Larios has his legs back, look at him moving and generally for the moment using his legs to shorten or rather lengthen the round and give himself a better chance to recover.
His leg and those long arms. Look at his jab.
Oscar Larios hadn't had a fight in more than 7 months. That's the longest layoff of his entire career. Maybe the long layoff had something to do with the quick knockdown.
Well, he is showing his versatility here because he can box, and he needs to box to get out of this round.
Yeah, it started as a war. They were going after each other, and Larios has completely changed his pattern already, probably for the purpose of making it out of round 1 and back into the fight.
There's no sense in doing nothing crazy and getting caught with another big punch.
But those 4 punches give Larios a chance to maybe narrow this to a 10-9 round rather than a 10-8 round, because even though he's been down in the knockdown, if he could markedly win the rest of the round, then some judges might give it 10-9.
I don't think so, Jim, because that was a very
brief rally, clean
knockdown, and it's not like he's won every minute since then.
I agree. At the end of the day, most likely that was a 10-8 round. Good left hand punch to the belly by Larios to punctuate the round.
Okay, all right.
Vamos a hacer nuestra pelea ya, ¿eh? Okay. Estás llaveando muy bien. Boom, boom, boom.
Let's do a good fight now. We got a jab and then hook. And the right hand. When you jab, be quick.
Here you see Israel Vazquez come in with a right uppercut followed by a left hook and a straight right hand. A beautiful 3-punch combination that hurt Larios. And then he followed up with more uppercuts from both hands and eventually sent him to the floor.
And got a good right hand in while Larios was clearly all the way down on his knee.
A beautiful 3-punch combination that started it all, followed by a left uppercut and a double right uppercut.
That's what got Roy Jones disqualified against Montel Griffin in Atlantic City about 9 years ago. Total in round 1, Larios 13 out of 56. He wound up landing more punches in the round than Vazquez. Vazquez was 12 out of 66. Larios averaged 107 punches per round in the second fight between these two fighters 3 years ago. So his punch output was limited in round 1, but of course he was recovering from the knockdown. How's this for a quote from Freddie Roach? And we've seen him with so many great fighters, including, of course, Manny Pacquiao. Roach says of Israel Vazquez, he's the greatest champion I've ever worked with. Nobody comes to the gym with a better attitude. Nobody works harder and more honestly. I've never known a nicer boxer. That's high praise.
Very high praise, especially from a trainer who trains so many different fighters and sees so many different personalities.
And who worked for the great Eddie Futch as his protege and therefore has a really broad vision of what matters in the sport. Vazquez has done well to the body in the last 30 seconds, but Larios just nailed him with a good straight jab. Larios is beginning to get his jab in order. Like that.
He's fighting a very smart fight, Larios, and he's not trying to allow Vazquez an opportunity to trade with him. He's moving around him to the left, using his big jab to keep him off balance so that Larios can't plant on none of those hard punches that he threw early.
Can Larios move like that for 12 rounds? Well, not many fighters could, but he has enormous stamina.
And I happen to believe he would be one to be favorite to be able to do that for 15 rounds.
You miss 15-round fights, Roy?
Yeah, I do.
What about the safety factor?
That's why I understand it and I don't complain about it, but I know a lot of these guys wouldn't be able to survive for 15 rounds in there against a real fighter. But for safety purposes, I think it's the best thing.
Round 2 has been a tactical round with Oscar Larios moving, rotating to his left, occasionally coming back to the right, landing his jab, looking to mix in other punches, and Israel Vazquez trying to find the close quarters that allowed him to do damage in round 1.
And I think the knockdown worked in Larios' favor in round 1 because it made him box more and not try to sit there and go toe-to-toe with Israel.
And the right hand and left hook that Vazquez landed there showed you he's still a threat to do damage with his power.
He definitely is, but he's not getting as much of an opportunity to throw them because Larios is moving so much.
And now Larios sets up a good straight right hand. Round 2 comes to a close. Moments ago, referee Jay Nady gave instructions to Bernard Hopkins for the main event.
Belly button to the hip bone below, that's a foul. I like to be able to see your belly button with your trunks, which I always could. Yeah, so I don't want your trunks up around here.
He wears maybe I could have one too. Say we both wear or have high waistbands, which is, when I say high, more than 2 inches. Like the waistband low or the waistband good, so the names normally be at.
So long as I can see your belly button, or at least I know where it is.
What if you can't share his?
Well, what if you can't? I'll have the same conversation with him.
Okay, good.
If he comes out when I can't see his belly button, I'm pulling his pants down so I can see it.
Great.
Not all the way down, of course.
I know what you're saying. I wouldn't mind.
Always a comedian. Always a comedian. I can't help myself.
No problem.
All right, you got any other questions?
Button, everything is
I want to be able to see the belly button. Obey my commands. Defend yourself, and it's always a pleasure.
I'll be professional. I know you will be.
Thanks. Good luck.
Thank you, Commissioner. Thank you.
Who's giving instructions to whom? Now, here's an understatement. Bernard Hopkins is a better talker than a listener. Jay Nady knew that. Interestingly, and Roy Jones, we need a comment from you on this. Jay Nady refereed the first Hopkins-Taylor fight. Come back to a dramatic and significant rematch 4 months later, and you have the same referee. Quite unusual.
Quite unusual, but I think both guys probably feel as though Jay Nady is the best referee for this fight. Taylor probably because he feels like Jay Nady is not going to let Bernard get out of hand. Bernard because he wants to prove that I'm not going to cry if y'all just give me what I had last time. So he has a lot of making up to do, and Taylor feels safer.
Nady was the referee for your fight with John Ruiz because clearly the Nevada State Athletic Commission did not want that fight to be marred by holding and clinching. I see him as the enforcer referee here.
I do too, and that's why I think Taylor is comfortable with him, but because Hopkins is trying to win over fans, he has to be comfortable with him.
Same referee, 3 different judges, however, than was the case the first time around.
According to Mark Ratner, the head of the Nevada Commission, he hasn't appointed a referee for a rematch, the same referee for at least a decade. He thinks it might have happened with Bowen Holyfield. He didn't remember. He said it was rare but not unusual, or unusual but not rare.
Round 3 continues between Oscar Larios in the red trunks and Israel Vazquez in the blue. They are fighting for supremacy in the 122-pound weight class. Larios has been the more recognized of the 2 fighters over the course of the past 3 years, largely because in their second fight 3 years ago, he knocked Vazquez out in the 12th round.
That first round knockdown has changed the profile of this fight. Instead of standing toe-to-toe, we're seeing Larios doing more boxing.
And as Roy Jones said, and I totally agree, it's helped him. It's made him fight a smarter fight.
Much smarter fight. He won't throw as many punches because he's using his legs more, and he's not in range as much. But it's better for him to not be in range because he's not the stronger fighter here.
Wonder why he would have come in at 120 and a half. A pound and a half under the limit. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me.
Now Vazquez gets Larios to the ropes, nails him one time, but Larios fires a counter and is able to come back off of the ropes. And now there's blood over the left eye of Oscar Larios and a big cut. Very big cut. They confused the 10-second marker for the end of the round. There's still 8 seconds remaining in the round, as you can see. Dr. William Berliner now looking at the left eye of Oscar Larios, and that's a big enough cut to significantly affect the fight. In fact, this fight is over.
Now,
and I'm not sure what caused the cut.
Well,
but it looks as though it must have been a punch because Larios is lifting Vazquez into the victor position.
I'm a little surprised by that stoppage. It must have been a very bad gash, which we really couldn't see, because normally they would give the corner a chance to see whether they could patch it up or not.
Oh, I saw it, Larry. It's horrible. It's a very, look at that. It is all the way across under the eyebrow, and you can see how deep it is. Roy, it had been hard for him to fight with that.
Yes, it would have. And that's why the doctor immediately stopped the fight, because he knew there was no way he was going to let Larios continue with a cut of that stature on his face.
Particularly against a power puncher like Vazquez, a guy who could do some damage there. So the stoppage comes instantly in the third round. It is ruled that the cut was caused by a punch, and Israel Vazquez, for the second time in his career, has upended Oscar Larios to assume the top spot now in the 122-pound weight class.
Wouldn't be the biggest shock of my life if they had to fight each other again.
Wouldn't be the biggest shock of their lives either. So only the 4th loss of Oscar Larios' career, 56 wins, 4 losses, and a draw. 39th win for Vazquez against only 3 losses.
Again, for those of you out there who have seen this scenario in the past and a fight be ruled as a no contest, the reason that it is a TKO is because the cut was caused by a punch, not by a headbutt.
And that kind of cut is so routinely caused by a headbutt that you're almost shocked to see that it's caused by a punch. Normally, it has to be a headbutt to create that deep a division above the eye. But in this case, there was absolutely no equivocation about the fact that it came from a punch. Oh, that's a mess. Let's go to Michael Buffer for the official particulars on the TKO victory for Vazquez.
Ladies and gentlemen, your attention, please. Referee Tony Weeks, acting on the advice of the physicians at ringside, calls a halt to this contest because of a severe laceration suffered by Oscar Larios. The cut was caused by a punch. This contest ends in a TKO victory for the now IBF and WBC Super Bantamweight Champion of the World, Israel, El Magnifico Vazquez.
Let's look at some replays and see if we can find a right-hand punch here. I don't think it could have been caused by a left-hand punch. At least it would seem highly unusual.
Well, it's tough. There go a right hook that could have definitely caused it, followed by another right hand. So that definitely could have caused the cut. However, I don't see any bleeding yet. But those 2 punches could have easily, there it is, had to be those 2 punches because now he's wiping blood.
Yeah, I believe it was the second of the 2 punches. The nature of the angle at which he threw that second punch would suggest that that could have been the rip.
First, that one right there would be the rip because the inside of the glove got a hold to his eye. I guarantee that came from the inside of the thumb of his glove.
Just like Lennox Lewis against Vitaly Klitschko in Los Angeles 2.5 years ago.
I guarantee you that's what caused the cut, the inside of the glove.
It was exactly what happened between Lewis and Klitschko. It was a different kind of angle as Lewis's glove slid by the side of Klitschko's face, but it's the lace on the inside of the glove and the seam at the side of the glove which can cause that kind of a cut.